thought I'd start with Creative Spirit, Come to Us, which is hymn 199 from Voices United. Creative Spirit, come to us. Give vision to the mind you own, and fill the hearts which you have made with gifts whose grace is yours alone. For you are called the Comforter, the glorious gift of God Most High, the living water, fire, and love, outpouring of eternity. Kaleidoscope of sevenfold light, power of the strong right hand of God, enriching with the promised truth the prophets and the preacher's word. Make our imaginations blaze, and fill our hearts with flowing love, that we who have no strength may know the strong flight of the soaring dove. It's an English translation of a hymn originally written in Latin in the 9th century. One of those things that's print is very small. Creative Spirit, come to us. For you are called the Comforter. Earlier in John's Gospel, during the farewell discourse, Jesus said, "And I will ask the Father, and he will give you another advocate, to be with you forever. I will not leave you orphaned. I am coming to you. I have said these things to you that while I am still with you, but the Holy Spirit, whom the Father will send in my name, will teach you everything, and remind you of all I have said. Peace I leave with you. My peace I give to you. In today's reading from John, on Easter Day, Jesus appears in an upper room where the disciples are locked away, hiding, afraid. Jesus said to them, "Peace be with you. As the Father has sent me, so I send you." When he had said this, he breathed on them and said, "Receive the Holy Spirit. If you forgive the sins of any, they are forgiven." The Pentecost story, the story we tell today, is about that giving of the Spirit. As John tells us, it's on Easter Day. Jesus appears amongst them, breathes on them, something we're not supposed to do these days, but breathes on them. Receive the Spirit. In the way Luke tells it in the book of Acts, we have the disciples still 50 days later, 50 days after Easter, gathered in an upper room. And all of a sudden the Spirit breaks through the door. It doesn't actually say that. It just says they were all together in one place, and suddenly from heaven there came a sound like the rush of a violent wind. Divided tongues as a fire appeared among them, and a tongue rested on each of them. The Spirit breaks into our lives. The Spirit of God breaks into our lives and transforms them, bringing us peace and driving us out. But the Spirit does so because the Spirit gives us a vision, a hope, a dream. In that first Pentecost story, Peter quotes from the prophet Joel, and he says, "In the last days it will be, God declares, that I will pour out my Spirit upon all flesh, and your sons and daughters shall prophesy, your young men shall see visions, and your old men dream dreams." What is the dream? What is the vision the Spirit brings us today, now, as we once again are closing ourselves up in our own spaces? Not because we're afraid we're going to be arrested like the first disciples were, but to keep each other safe, to help contain a virus. What is the dream the Spirit gives? This story of the people being filled with Spirit and driven out to proclaim the gospel in a variety of languages, risking being seen as drunk, even though, as Peter says, it's only 9 o'clock in the morning. Peter doesn't know some of the people I've known in my life. If he thinks people can't be drunk at 9 in the morning. But the Spirit fills them with such ecstasy. They go out and they can't help themselves. That's their vision. That's their dream. What dream? What vision? Where's the Spirit driving us today? May our imaginations blaze and fill our hearts with flowing love, that we who have no strength may know the strong flight of the soaring dove. The dove has long been a symbol of the Spirit. Pentecost is sometimes called the birthday of the church. It's when the miracle of Easter, the resurrection of Easter, changes from something experienced by a few people into a movement that eventually will reach to Rome, which at that point in time was the center of the world, and from there spread across the globe. On this birthday of the church, when we once again talk about the dove and the Spirit and the fire and all those other images we have for God's Spirit blowing through us, what is the dream, the vision, the burning desire that drives us forward? Next week is going to be the anniversary service. The anniversary of Church Union for the United Church of Canada is on June 10th. So on June 7th, we're going to have a service where I'm going to talk about that question more specifically to St. Paul's. But what is our dream? What is our vision? But more globally, what is the Spirit saying to the world right now in the middle of all this disruption? Are we being called to a new way of living together? Are we being called to new ways of experiencing God's presence? What is the Spirit saying to us? What is the Spirit filling us with, blowing us towards? These are the questions which arise for me every Pentecost Sunday. You'd think after 19 years I might have some answers. But I think the questions change a bit as time changes. On that first Pentecost, the gift of the Spirit was to translate the gospel into the languages of all who were there. As I read the story, I don't think, at least this is my vision of the story. In Star Trek, there's something called the Universal Translator. That's why they can all speak English. The Spirit in the Pentecost story seems to function as a universal translator. Because I'm pretty sure Peter and the others did not learn Greek overnight, or in the gust of a wind. That was the miracle of the first Pentecost. The gospel was being able to share it in all those languages. Because that's what was needed then. What is needed now? Where is the Spirit pushing us now? What is our dream for the church? What is your dream for the church? Whether it be St. Paul's, or the United Church of Canada, or just the church as it's lived out in India, in Gambia, in the United States, in Mexico, in Brazil, in Canada. What's the dream the Spirit gives you? Or how we live into this thing we call Christian faith? The Spirit is a gift. It's the gift promised by Christ, the advocate, the comforter. But it's a gift that comes with a challenge. Because the Spirit has this tendency to challenge us to be different, to do things we once thought were unthinkable, to move out of our comfort zones. Come, O Holy Spirit, set your church on fire. Strike it as the lightning strikes opposing spire. It's Pentecost. Feel the wind blow through your hair. Feel the fire ignite in your belly and your soul. watch the dove. Or as my Celtic ancestors might say, watch the wild goose and follow it, because that's where the Spirit's leading. What's your dream today? What's your vision? May God be with us, sharing peace, sharing our vision, moving us forward. Amen.